My garbage person of the week is a sort of specific one, and it is for the massive level of just patheticness that Sean McBrearty approaches every day with. I saw this tweet: Ellsworth Kindergarten Open House, about a kindergarten, provides parents a look at the indoctrination their kids are facing by teacher Rhonda Ulichny. Her class is not a family. It's not about being kind. It's about colors and ABCs. Parents are the family. Pull your kids now. So he has identified evidence, and he considers it strong evidence. You can tell by the multiple arrows he put on the image that you need to pull your kids from this kindergarten class immediately. Why? Because there's a rainbow heart, and because there's rainbow letters, and we all know what that means. The gay agenda's coming for your kids. And then look at this super villainess. Look at her posing with her flamingo pillar and smiling at the camera. She wants to murder your kids. No, really, he posted that. He was serious. He believes he has found evidence of a threat so dire that every parent needs to be horrified by it. And this is just one of any number of attempts to take people and to focus them on one teacher, on one librarian, on one book, on one classroom, and to be terrified and to ignore all of what's happening behind the curtain. Just focus on that kindergarten teacher and be terrified of what you see there. And this guy, you might think what's wrong to make some random guy your garbage person. First of all, it's my show, I'll do what I want. But more importantly, he has popped up from time to time in this quest he's engaged in to demonize schools. He went to this school meeting, and at the meeting, he decided to play a voicemail that he had recorded of him berating one of the school board members. Here's that video.
Right, so are you okay with hardcore anal books that are on her list? I mean, hardcore anal sex books.
So it was him. Like, you could barely hear the other person. He called them up. He recorded himself saying the term hardcore anal porn over and over and over again. And I will remind you that that stuff is not available in the school. You can't get it at the library. But also, that shot of the school board meeting making it look like it was just him and the teachers. It wasn't. You want another shot of that exact meeting? Here is a photo from the meeting. The room was filled with kids. And he decided, well, I brought this tape of me saying hardcore anal porn. I'm not gonna not play it at this point. And so he's terrified of kids being sexualized or exposed to material that's not age appropriate. And he also thinks it's really cool to play recordings of him saying the word hardcore anal porn so that they're forced to listen to it. This guy is garbage for multiple different reasons. He's now banned from the meetings, by the way, which in response to that, he then doxed one of the school board meetings on his YouTube channel. All around terrible guy and big old piece of political garbage.
It's so stupid. I love how these folks think that they're alpha dogs, and then they get triggered by like a rainbow heart and cry about it, and then say they're for protecting our kids from terrible imagery, and then yell hardcore anal porn over the speakers at a meeting where those kids are. I just want to point out one other bit of imagery that I, as a similar parent, even though I don't have kids, I like to think of myself as a parent to all the children out there. I'm reading from one of my favorite books. I have set my rainbow in the clouds, and it will be the sign of the covenant between me and the earth. That's what God, the guy who makes these gays, said to Noah after he murdered a bunch of kids in a giant flood and told him that he should go poach some animals and just take like 2 aside. What an insane thing to have in a book. But rather than take the lesson of love everybody and don't be a total a-hole, these guys are like, anytime you go through the colors of the rainbow, I'm gonna be there yelling hardcore anal porn.
So Utah is digging into the records of kindergartners to see if they could be transgender. Yeah, that's right. A Utah school investigated a high school athlete, digging into her records back to kindergarten after she defeated 2 other girls and their parents then questioned whether she was transgender. So again, the sleuthing is because parents are mad that their daughter was beaten in a sport by another kid, right? Who they're now claiming must be transgender because my daughter's not gonna lose. And so if this is a girls' team, I call transgender. Let's send out the sleuths. Insanity, y'all. So this came to light, this had happened because there was a hearing in front of Utah lawmakers about the transgender ban on sports, basically, that they passed in July. So this is the High School Activities Association spokesperson, David Spatafore. He said the investigation came after the parents of the second and third place finishers filed a complaint with the UHSAA, again, Utah High School Activities Association, which oversees high school sports in the state. The girls won first place in a competition last year by a wide margin, Spatafore said during a legislative hearing Wednesday on transgender athletes. He used the example to show lawmakers that the association has responded to and investigated complaints regarding transgender athletes and that it intends to follow the new law now banning them from playing on girls' sports teams in Utah schools. Now, the association apparently gets a lot of complaints from angry, overbearing helicopter parents who also are bigots. They get complaints, this is according to Spatafore, when, quote, an athlete doesn't look feminine enough, adding that it looks into each one. In this case, the school did an initial review of the winning student's high school record and saw she was registered as a female student. Spatafore then said the UHSAA was instructed to dig further to double check. School officials called her middle school and elementary school to look at her file, he noted. The school went back to kindergarten and said she's always been a female. If someone's been a female since kindergarten, he added, it's likely they didn't transition genders. Thank you, head of athletics for high schools in Utah, for telling me who is and who is not transgender. I can't wrap my mind around the petty bigotry of a parent who's like, oh, you looked into the high school records? No. I want you to look into elementary school records and kindergarten records. You got to keep going and just calling and freaking out about this. Now, there's a reason I haven't said what the sport is or the name of this student or like what she won in, because that's all been protected for her identity, apparently. In fact, this is the last thing before I kick it to you, Erin. Spatafore said the student and her family weren't told about the investigation because it might be offensive or embarrassing that someone thought the girl was transgender. He said she wasn't told to protect her. The parents would have been involved if needed, Spatafore said, but he felt the school was able to clear up concerns by looking at her records instead. So that's all fine. None the wiser.
Oh my God. They are so creepy, Francesca. Like, I can think of nothing, there is no word to better describe this sort of investigation, the type of entitlement the parents felt to inquire about a kid's genitals. Because if this girl won a high school competition, she's a child, she's legally a child. So they are so obsessed with a child's genitals that they required multiple school staffs to investigate what those genitalia were. Like, good Lord, incredibly creepy. Also, it speaks to a complete provincialism by the parents, because here's the thing, super great athletes seem superhuman to compete against. There was a girl, I'm from a really small town in northern Wisconsin, and there was a girl in a rival high school. Who was like, she ended up being on the US hockey team, the US women's hockey team.
Wow, nice.
3 times. And nicest person in the world. She went out for cross country, waxed everybody her freshman year. She was just so much better than everybody else. In basketball, whenever I had to guard her, it was like, well, great, I'm gonna get my butt kicked. Like, she was so much better at all the sports than everybody. Great athletes really leave people in the dust, and like gender and their sexual identity has nothing to do with it. And I hate to break it to these parents and to anybody who would look at a great female athlete as somehow suspicious. I hate to break it to you, but that's what That's what great athletes are. They're that much better than regular people. And I'm sorry that your daughters had to learn that they were normal in such a disturbing way, but sometimes you're just normal and some people are exceptional compared to you. And that's just them's the breaks.